Hi, I'm Stephen Reich from the pokepress studios in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm on the phone with Anne from Pikapi Podcast, and we're going to do another one of these. You may remember in a previous installment we compared the Japanese and English ending themes of the first Pokemon movie. We compared Together with the Wind versus We're a Miracle. And now we're going to move on to the second movie. So this is going to be Trois Ma versus The Power of One. We may discuss some of the other songs, particularly on the English side, but that's going to be the main focus of our comparison for this installment. So first off, let's start off with the Japanese song, Trois Ma. Anne, why don't you go ahead and sort of introduce that?
Okay, so Trois Ma was the ending theme for the Japanese release. It was performed by Amuro Namie, very, very famous J-pop star, and produced by TK Komura Tetsuyo. We don't think it was released specifically for the movie, but the lyrics do seem to work out quite well. And one interesting bit of trivia is one song kind of that took place sort of at a time when Amuro was kind of making a musical transition. So she was kind of moving away from the really cutesy pop sound and kind of into a more dance-based R&B kind of urban sound. And a lot of people consider that her first single in that genre, so.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about her, since obviously we know much more in America here about Donna Summer on the English side. Tell us about this J-pop artist and
okay,
just a little background.
So she's from Okinawa, which is an island kind of in the real south section of Japan, real tropical area. Came up through the Okinawa Actors School, so kind of a performing arts program specifically for like J-pop type singers. They produced a lot of the famous J-pop of that time, like Yamada Yu and Speed and those people. She got into the pop genre, and then kind of, because she has kind of more of a powerful, really emotive voice, kind of started getting into a lot more R&B type of tracks, a lot more soulful, passionate music instead of the cute poppy numbers. And she's just been a steady name through J-pop. She's released a lot of pop tracks. I don't know what to say about her. She's been on a lot of anime, so I kind of guarantee that you have heard her music if you are at all interested in anime and soundtracks and theme songs. She's just had a real good presence with that. So like if you're into Inuyasha or something, you've heard her doing like Four Seasons.
And can you tell us anything about the writing/producing team, what their background is?
Komuro Tetsuya, he works, he's a producer who does a lot of work with Avex, and I think Sony as well. He's kind of one of the big names in producing over in Japan. He's done a lot of pop artists. He's also done Hitomi and like just a lot of those big names. I don't know much to say about the songwriting, his style, because he does seem to kind of go across the board. Like he just has a lot of different artists that he's worked with, and but definitely kind of in the pop genre.
Yeah, so on the flip side, on the English side, we have The Power of One, which of course was performed by Donna Summer, longtime musician. Unfortunately, of course, she passed away about 4 years ago from when we were recording this. But certainly left an outstanding career in music, going back primarily to the disco eras, where she probably hit the peak of her popularity in terms of chart hits with stuff like, Hot Stuff, She Works Hard for the Money, things like that. As far as this song, it was co-written by Mark Chait and Mervyn Warren. Some of you will remember earlier in 2016, I had a chance to interview Mark Chait, and we learned quite a bit of things there. A lot of that will probably make it in here, but there is an interview out there if you'd like to take a look. Produced by David Foster, if I recall correctly, and basically this was written for the movie. In fact, as you probably guessed, the opening riff is Lugia's song, which started out in the score, and then was incorporated into this song. So that's the order things went in there. And that's sort of the setup we have on this side. All right, so let's talk about some of our observations. Let's start with Trois Ma. which of course is French. In case you, for some reason, didn't know, you and me is the basic translation there. What's your overall impression, Anne, of sort of the style of the piece?
It's definitely a departure from the ending theme of the last movie. I think it was a very interesting choice to start off with a song, again, that was so poppy, kind of had the English lyrics, too. Like, it just, for us who speak English, it's kind of off-putting, because they're not quite as fluid as we might hope. I don't know how a Japanese audience would have reacted to that. I mean, obviously English is used a lot in pop music over there, but again, it's just kind of a departure from the feel that they were going for just one movie prior. It's like, and that's kind of how I find the song. Like, it's beautiful and interesting, but it does kind of have that weird tonal shift from like the English almost rap section into like these more melodic choruses, and I don't know. It's just it feels all over the place in a strange way. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. If I like it or not. But it's definitely interesting. There are some interesting choices made.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Obviously, if you do listen to it as an American or an English speaker, those are the English phrases are going to be the ones that you hear there. Obviously, the singer wasn't as proficient. Certainly better than my Japanese, but not totally proficient in English either. But I'll give her credit for putting in a good attempt.
Yeah,
there.
Clearly it meant something to the person who wrote it, but like for us, it's like that. I'm not sure what you're trying to say.
There definitely seems to be some sort of like relationship mechanic there. Right? Is that sort of reflected also in the Japanese side of the lyrics?
Definitely.
Can you give us a little bit of a sample of sort of the overall arc of the song?
Sort of a like standing by your side kind of a feel. Devotion, like fighting for your love and being a warrior. And there's kind of like a sense of like the relationship has passed. So like, I'm looking back almost on this, and even as we move forward and we're apart, I'm still going to fight for these things that were important, fighting against fate, maybe. So it's kind of like, even though maybe for some reason these people have either grown apart or have been physically separated, that this relationship is still important to the singer.
Do you feel that does a good tie-in to the movie at all? Like we said, this wasn't written for it. Do you feel it ties into the movie in any particular way?
I do, because, I don't know, it starts off just kind of your typical, relationship song, but then the lyrics get increasingly more epic, and they start talking about, like, digging deep to find courage and undefeatable situations. And it kind of seems to herald that kind of situation that was in the movie of like, Misty and Ash kind of being in the center of the apocalypse. And for my friends, for the people I care about, I'm going to dig deep and, do the things that only I can do. Talking about protecting other people and crying through, the wanting to love each other and all those things. So I think it does, not as strongly as I would say The Power of One does, though.
And we'll definitely get to that. One thing I kind of felt might be kind of missing from it is that, at least listening as a non-Japanese speaker, it kind of just kind of fades out and ends at the end. It's not like with the first movie, Together with the Wind, where there is sort of a resolution at the end. It just sort of fades out. And maybe if you could understand the lyrics, maybe that feels a bit more fitting. But to me, it sort of makes it kind of not feel complete as a movie ending song. Do you get what I'm saying there?
I do. And I agree. You almost think it needs a strong finish. Like, again, this is kind of a weird song, but full of interesting choices. Because lyrically, the end lyrics are kind of repeating like that sense of a destiny that can't be changed, but I'm going to try anyway. So that repetition of the last few phrases into the fade out of like, like I can't change it, so I can't have a strong finish, but yet I still think it's important to keep singing kind of a feel. like, I think that's an interesting choice, but again, not one that really satisfies your soul in a movie ending theme.
Do you think this would have been a better song to use maybe as an insert song somewhere in the movie?
Absolutely. This is a perfect song for that soundtrack. Of all the songs on that CD, it is not the one I would have chosen to be the ending theme, except for the fact that it's got Amuro's name attached to it, which probably moves units.
Is there a different song either on the soundtrack or in that that artist's repertoire that you might think would be better for, say, the end credits?
On the CD itself, absolutely Mina ga Itakara should have been, in my opinion. Oh, that should have been the ending themes. But, of Amuro's though, she has so many songs. I'd have to look up the lyrics for Say the Word again, but I remember thinking when I was young that was there was something very Pokemon about that song. But I don't know if it would have been the best for this movie.
You mentioned another song that was on the soundtrack there. Can you go into a little detail of what that song is and how it actually was used?
Yeah, Mina ga Itakara is a song sung by Rika Matsumoto, who does Ash's voice, or Satoshi's. And it's a song, the title translates to Because Everyone Was There. And the idea of it is like, because of all the people cheering me on, or because of all the people who needed me, I was able to accomplish this. And it is about the movie. And it is from Satoshi's point of view, singing about how he feels about the events of the movie. And there's some beautiful lines about, like, grown to understand, the differences between a battle and a fight, and between, like, struggles and pain and things like that. Like, realizing that there's a very big difference between, like, the fun Pokemon battles he has and, like, this all-out war that's, happened in the Pokemon world now. And, because everybody was there to help him when he didn't think he could rise to the occasion, he was able to become, like, the hero. And kind of, in that sense, everybody was just as important. Like, and tears, crying. It's just so beautiful. But yeah, it was definitely written for this movie and about this movie, and it never appeared in the film. It's only on the soundtrack. The melody character and the villain character, Lawrence III, they also both get songs that are about them that don't appear in the movie. So I'm thinking that was their concept, obviously, but it to me, it's just a shame because Mina ga Itakara kind of sums up the whole theme of the movie and the point.
Would you have been okay if they had like Tuatma at the start of the credits and then at the end they had ended with part of that song that you just mentioned?
Yeah. Like, I think it deserved certainly a little more prominence in the credits and the film than it got. But again, business having a recognizable name attached to your song helps a lot when you're trying to make a profit on things. So
yeah, Namie definitely was the seller there. You can even put that maybe in print on the poster or something like that to draw people in. I bet that would help there more so than Rika having the ending song.
Yeah.
All the same. Business decisions sometimes work out that way.
Exactly. Like, certainly Namie was a bigger deal than Pokemon was at the time of this CD release, so.
That may sound hard to believe to some of our listeners, but...
I know, yeah. Now Pokemon kind of takes over the country, but...
All right, well, let's flip over back to the English side then with The Power of One, where they were able to get an absolutely immensely important and popular artist... but also to write a song specifically for the ending of the movie. Let's actually start at the beginning of The Power of One. It starts off with this, I don't know if it's actually a flute, but some sort of woodwind instrument playing Lugia's song from the movie, which is the basis for the main melody in The Power of One song. Obviously, that sort of ties things together more so than Tuatma could have done, since it's a totally separate work there. Do you think that was a good choice for them to sort of try and tie those two things together?
Yeah, no, I love that the opening flute and then slowly building, it's such a beautiful choice. I'm really happy that they decided to do that, especially since, as you say, this was written for the movie, that they just connected it on all fronts, musically as well as lyrically.
And the first vocal we really hear is Donna Summer saying, "You must always remember," which is kind of an interesting way. What do you think of that introduction there?
A very interesting choice. Like, I wouldn't, if I were like making the song myself, I wouldn't have put it there. I wouldn't have thought it needed it. But every time she says it and I listen to the song, a little shiver goes down my spine. So I think it was the right choice in the end. Like, I don't know, there's something very personal about it. And I kind of like that for the nature of this movie, that it doesn't start out kind of like a big, full-voiced singing, that she starts out just talking to you. Like, there's something special about that.
And then we get the first verse, life can be a challenge, life can seem impossible, it's never easy when so much is on the line, which is basically the sort of the setup to sort of the scenario that's presented in the movie that goes from, the characters eventually realize, hey, this isn't just some legend that belongs to some island, we're living it. And then they realize that they're the only people who can sort of set things right and sort of cure this imbalance that's happening. So you do have a definite parallel there. And then we get to the first chorus, which, sort of describes this sort of process type deal that's going on now that I think about it. It sort of trails where the quote-unquote power of one comes from, how it comes together, and what its effect is. Doesn't it kind of do that now that you think about it?
Yeah, like, I really love these words. Like, it starts in the heart, grows to the soul, changes the world. I think it's really interesting that a song titled The Power of One in its chorus talks about the importance of standing in unity. And in the movie, like, so much emphasis is both in the characters' dialogue and the marketing and everything that went with it is promoting, like, the one person, the chosen one, the power of one, one person can make a difference. But really the true theme of the movie is how everybody stands together, and that's what changes the world. When everyone does their one part, it's not that one person rises above and is better. And I really like that this song kind of acknowledges both, like, your individual power, what makes you special, and then how when you stand up and do your one part, the thing that only you can do, and inspire other people to act with you, then the power of one becomes the power of everybody, and we stand in unity, and each of us holds the key. Like, that's just so brilliant. Like, I don't know, I think it's a theme that often got overlooked in the promotion of the movie, but this song found it again and brought it to the surface.
That is interesting. And some people do kind of bring that up as a criticism of the movie, that Ash doesn't do it all by himself, as the name of the movie would kind of imply. But this song sort of points out that there's a duality, that each individual piece is important, because without it, without the critical pieces, the whole thing falls apart. But together, you can do something that is more than any individual person could do by themselves, which is kind of, it's not about one person so much as it is one cause, one idea that a bunch of parties work together towards to make something really important happen, or in the case of the movie, to sort of prevent things from spiraling completely out of control and consuming potentially the entire world there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Ash is the only one who could have, activated the magical sphere things, but Melody was the only one who could play the song after Lugia fainted, and Misty was the only one with the swimming skills to dig Ash out of the ocean, and somebody had to stand on the shore to make sure Misty didn't get swept away by the waves, so that was Tracy's one thing, and all of them, Lugia being able to ferry Ash and protect him from the birds, like, everybody had the one thing that only they could do, and they had to be there for it. And so, it's like, it is the power of one, but it is also the power of unity, and that's beautiful how it comes together in this music. I don't know, what part of the song sticks out most to you?
Like I said, that overall structure is what I noticed when I was listening to it earlier today, is that where it builds. I'm sure I'd noticed it before, and then the resolution at the end, is sort of, it brings back, Lugia's theme at the end of the song, but in a way, not in really a cyclical way, or not in sort of a way that it isn't diminished from or exactly where it started. It's sort of like we built up to this great thing, and now we can sort of relax and things have been righted or something like that. That's the best way I can describe it at the moment, unfortunately.
Sort of an emotional catharsis, maybe?
Yeah. Keep listening for more from this interview.